This podcast is brought to you by eHarmony, the dating app to find someone you can be yourself with. What makes eHarmony so special? You. No, really. The profiles and conversations are different on eHarmony, and that's what makes it great. eHarmony's compatibility quiz brings out everyone's personality on their profile and highlights similarities on your discovery page, so it's even easier to start a conversation that actually goes somewhere. So what are you waiting for? Get who gets you on eHarmony. Sign up today.
Hey parents, Greenlight is here to take one big thing off your to-do list, teaching your kids about money. With a Greenlight debit card and money app of their own, kids and teens learn to earn, save, and invest. You can send money instantly, set flexible controls, and get real-time notifications of your kids' money activity. Set up chores and put allowance on autopilot to reward them for their hard work. Then learn about the world of money together. Get 1 month free when you sign up at greenlight.com/podcast.
Welcome to Pennsylvania in Focus. I'm Kristen Smith. Announcing a manufacturing expansion in Beaver County, Governor Josh Shapiro argued for his model of economic growth and made a call for compromise to pass the state budget. Joining me today is the Center Square's Pennsylvania reporter, Anthony Hennon. So, Anthony, what is this big manufacturing expansion in Beaver County all about?
Yeah, so it seems like you can't really build a facility or expand industry here in Pennsylvania without the governor come knocking. Yeah, this ties in to Shapiro's been pushing recently this idea of one of the big problems for Pennsylvania to attract either out-of-state companies or to help in-state companies expand in Pennsylvania has been a lack of sites, a lack of big plots of land that have, the infrastructure, electrical hookups, sewage and water, decent enough roads to come in and just build a massive facility. So the governor headed out to Beaver County, just northwest of Pittsburgh, to celebrate Aliquippa, where Versatex, a building materials supplier, is starting a $40 million investment that would build an almost 100,000 square foot facility to double its manufacturing capacity and create another 80 jobs. And the governor thanked the company for betting on Aliquippa in Beaver County, and again, making his pitch that Pennsylvania is open for business and the Commonwealth is here to help those businesses expand and achieve these sorts of economic growth. Other states nearby that Shapiro keeps referring to, he says, has put a lot more state investment into trying to develop sites to attract big companies. Ohio and Intel has been a very popular one to point to. Shapiro argued, I see real power in the dirt that exists in communities like Aliquippa. Dirt that turns into pads that turn into economic engines that manufacture great products we need more of in Pennsylvania. This is how we create jobs, and this is how we bring more manufacturing back to Pennsylvania. And I think that really sums up Shapiro's overarching economic approach here of trying to get the state more involved with getting these sites set up and trying to make these big plays for larger manufacturing companies or big expansions within the Commonwealth.
You mentioned that Pennsylvania is just really struggling to keep up with other neighboring states like Ohio, which Governor Josh Shapiro is very upset about losing to, and he's been saying as much for the last 6 months. But, it's common knowledge that our business taxes are very unattractive to businesses that want to either come here or stay here. But when you're looking at the numbers of these jobs, 100 jobs here, 100 jobs there, I think for taxpayers, that may not seem like the return on investment is so great. So is there you talked a little bit about it more, but there's a broader strategy here, 100 jobs there, 100 jobs here. Is this an idea that we're just going to build and build so that one day they'll, these big companies will want to come to us because they don't have to ship building materials from so far away? How does this fit into the bigger picture?
Yeah, I think that's a hope of almost copying what we've seen in some southern states like South Carolina, which really did have a fairly decent argument for attracting a major company. Car manufacturing has been big for South Carolina, and they've kind of used that to their advantage and grow. So the hope here is by getting some of these bigger companies, Pennsylvania gets a little more on the map of large business expansions, and they can kind of clear the way. But I think, there's also this other half, and we hear this from Republicans whenever the Department of Environmental Protection comes up. As great as it may be to get these sites developed and in place, there is a problem of Pennsylvania's tax rankings among other states for businesses taxes, it's pretty mediocre at best. There's also more so than, having to spend $5 or $10 million to get these sites ready. It's permitting headaches and delays. And it seems like, a lot of businesses, one of their focuses is not so much the upfront cost of finding these sites and developing them. The bigger problem, it really seems, is waiting months, if not years, for business permits, for clearing the permitting hassles, for getting everything in line so they can actually start operating. Because it's one thing where you have to pay a certain fee to get this stuff developed, but the one of the bigger things seems to be just the headaches, the uncertainty that comes with delays in permits and approvals, et cetera, et cetera. And this is not something necessarily unique to Shapiro. I mean, when we look back the past few decades of Pennsylvania economic development, it's a long-standing technique of trying to go big on some of these bigger, business expansions or announcements. It's very appealing for governors and for, state politicians to point to a big project that they help shepherd through. But it's a lot messier and it's a lot harder to trace when you're working on things like lowering business taxes or speeding up the permitting process or whatever else. So you hear from a lot of different business groups, as much as they might like state assistance in getting some of these sites ready, there's also this concern of doing things that help every business work better or, removing some of these barriers. And that seems to be the bigger divide. Shapiro is at least trying to highlight ways in which his approach works here. But I think it'll take a few more years to really get a sense of what are the effects of these approaches, these changes, and will that really help Pennsylvania, as Shapiro says it, quit losing to friggin' Ohio.
Anthony, thanks for joining us today. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com.
Hey parents, Greenlight is here to take one big thing off your to-do list, teaching your kids about money. With a Greenlight debit card and money app of their own, kids and teens learn to earn, save, and invest. You can send money instantly, set flexible controls, and get real-time notifications of your kids' money activity. Set up chores and put allowance on autopilot to reward them for their hard work. Then learn about the world of money together. Get 1 month free when you sign up at greenlight.com/podcast.